Moonbeam by Gail Francis. Early one evening, when Moonbeam's family was just sitting down to eat supper, Wolf, a friend of Moonbeam, came running in shouting, "Morning Star, come quick! My mom needs you! The baby is coming!" Everyone looked surprised, as the baby wasn't supposed to come for another week or more. Morning Star told Wolf, "I'm on my way." Wolf took off like a deer out the door and ran back home to let his mother know Morning Star was coming. As Morning Star got up from the table to get her bag sitting by the doorway, Moonbeam asked, "Nika, can I go with you to Daisy's?" Morning Star said, "Yes, you can come. I know your father and Mimi have plans." A few minutes later, Morning Star left to deliver Daisy's baby with Moonbeam by her side. As they left the wigwam, Badger followed behind, wagging his tail. On the way to Daisy's, Morning Star told Moonbeam, "Once we get there, I want you to be a good girl." "Okay," said Moonbeam. As they walked, Moonbeam began thinking about her mother's work. She had some idea about it, as her mother had already explained what happens when a woman is going to have a baby. Morning Star had told her that the mommy had the seed in her and the daddy helped plant the seed. Then the baby grew in the mommy's tummy until it was born. The closer they got to Daisy's home, the faster Moonbeam walked and talked. Morning Star gently tugged Moonbeam back and told her to slow down. Once she slowed down, Moonbeam asked her mother, "How long will it take for the baby to come?" "I don't know. Every delivery is different, but I'm sure it will be soon," said Morning Star. When Morning Star and Moonbeam arrived at Daisy's, her family was there. They were glad to see Morning Star come through the door. Moonbeam and the other children stayed outside to play, while Elk, Daisy's husband, went to sit under the big oak tree to wait. Moonbeam saw Elk sitting under the tree and noticed he looked sad. She got up off the grass and walked over to hug him. He put his arm around her and smiled down at her. "Are you sad?" she asked. "No," answered Elk. "I was just thinking about Daisy and the baby, praying they'll be okay and hoping it won't be much longer." "Do you want a boy or girl?" asked Moonbeam. She went on, "I want a girl for Daisy, since she has Wolf and Little Bear." Elk laughed and said, "I just want a healthy baby." Just then Morning Star appeared from inside the wigwam, smiling. She told Elk, "You have a beautiful, healthy daughter. Daisy is asking to see you." Elk lifted his arm from around Moonbeam's shoulder and stood up. He looked up to the sky, closed his eyes, crossed his arms on his chest, and silently said, "Thank you, Great Spirit." Then he took long, quick steps back inside the wigwam. The children came running over to Moonbeam. She told Wolf and his brother, "You have a new baby sister." Both of the boys were jumping and shouting with big smiles on their faces. "Can we see her? What's her name?" asked Wolf. "You can see the baby when your father comes to get us. I don't know her name. I think your mother is waiting for the baby's name to come," answered Morning Star. A few minutes later, Elk came out with a great big smile on his face. He shouted, "Everyone can come in now." The children ran over to where Elk was standing. Moonbeam was the first one there as she pushed the boys aside. Morning Star followed behind as they all went inside. Daisy sat on the furs with the baby in her arms. The baby was wrapped in a thin rabbit fur. Her dark brown hair and dark brown eyes so like her parents. Moonbeam touched her cheek. It felt so soft. She noticed how small the baby's hands, fingers, and face were. She also noticed the dimple on her right cheek. Moonbeam whispered, "She is beautiful." They were standing around talking and looking down at the new member of the family when Moonbeam asked, "What's her name?" Daisy looked at Moonbeam and said, "We haven't decided. Nothing has come to us yet that fits her." In the meantime, Morning Star finished tidying up. It wasn't too long after when Morning Star told Moonbeam, "It's time we went home. It's getting late." "Oh, Nika, do we have to go now?" "I want to stay and see the baby a while longer," Moonbeam pouted. "No," said Morning Star. "I'm tired and it's been a long day. Maybe you can come back tomorrow with Mimi to visit if it's okay with Daisy." Daisy said, "Yes, you and Mimi come visit us tomorrow." Moonbeam and Morning Star said goodnight to everyone and left for home, hand in hand, with Badger wagging his tail and running behind. On the way home, Moonbeam chattered away about the new baby and how happy and excited she was about going back to visit the next day. She wondered what name they would choose. Nika. Yes, Moonbeam, answered Morningstar. Can you tell me again how I got my name? Okay. When your father and I found out we were going to have a baby, we were so happy and excited. At first, we talked about different names, but they didn't seem right at the time. Since we didn't know whether you would be a girl or a boy, we decided to wait until you were born. Moonbeam nodded as Morningstar continued. Well, that night you were born, there was a full moon. It was a warm, beautiful summer evening. The stars were all out and the sky was clear and bright. Moonbeam imagined what the night looked like. It was getting late that night, and your father and I were getting tired of waiting for you to come. After the moon was right above us, you came into this world. You should have seen us. We were both crying and laughing. We were so happy you were here in our home. We loved you so much, and you were so beautiful. I held you in my arms, and I just kept gazing at you. Then we counted all your little fingers and all your little toes. This made Moonbeam smile up at her mother. Then what happened? She asked. Well, after we counted your fingers and toes, your father and I started talking about what to name you. As we were talking, your father noticed this light above the fire hole. It was just a little beam of light that hit the floor. We looked up to see where it was coming from, and we saw that the light was coming from the moon. It was then we decided to call you Moonbeam. I love hearing that story, exclaimed Moonbeam. When Morningstar finished telling the story, they were close to home. A few minutes later, they walked in and were bombarded with questions from Soaring Eagle and Mimi about the new baby. How's Daisy? How's Elk? How's the baby? Is it a boy or girl? How are the boys? What did they name the baby? Morningstar laughed. Hold on, one question at a time. Everyone is fine, happy and excited, and Daisy had a girl, but they haven't named her yet. Soaring Eagle commented, Sometimes it takes a while for the name to come. I'm sure they'll name her soon. Moonbeam piped up. Mimi, can we go visit Daisy and the baby tomorrow? Smiling at Moonbeam, Mimi said, Yes, Moonbeam, we can go and visit tomorrow. Because of all the excitement and the late hour, Morningstar told Moonbeam, It's getting late, time for bed. Do I have to? Pouted Moonbeam. Yes, you have to go to bed, said Morningstar. It's very late and you've had a busy and exciting day. It's time for bed. Reluctantly, Moonbeam went and got ready for bed, first giving her father and Mimi hugs and kisses and wishing them good night. Morningstar took Moonbeam to her furs and set her down on them. She gave her a kiss and covered her up. Good night, Nika, said Moonbeam. Good night, Doos, replied Morningstar. Moonbeam was more tired than she thought, because once she closed her eyes, she was starting to fall asleep. Her last thought was, what name did Daisy and Elk give the baby? It was late in the day before Moonbeam and Mimi walked to see Daisy and the baby. Moonbeam chatted away about possible names. Do you think they'll call her Robin? Or Raven? Maybe Zipsis? Mimi chuckled. We'll just have to wait till we get there to find out. Maybe they haven't even named her yet. When they arrived, Daisy invited them in. She was holding the baby while Elk stood next to her smiling at the new member of the family. Moonbeam stepped closer to get a better look at the baby. She was sleeping peacefully. Moonbeam put her hand on the baby's belly. Moonbeam looked up at Daisy and Elk and asked them, Do you have a name for her yet? Daisy answered, We do. Moonbeam waited, trying to be patient. Elk continued, We tried different names, but they didn't seem to fit her. Then I remembered when we were sitting outside yesterday that the sun was beginning to set when she was born. I mentioned it to Daisy, and we agreed. Her name will be... Sunset, shouted Moonbeam. Elk laughed. Yes, we named her Sunset. Just then the baby stirred, opened her eyes, and grabbed Moonbeam's finger.